What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to attempt the near impossible and try to make Comic Sans look good. I'm one of those designers who believes that every font has its time and place, even if it shouldn't be that often. Let's get started. So I kind of have a little bit of a game plan going into this, but I think that what I'm using this font for today could be considered ironically using it. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So I've already got my grid system set up here, and I'm going to use some kind of Swiss guidelines here. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to make a poster for a haunted carnival. And I do think that it could possibly work. We just have to, we've got a lot of work to do. So let's try. So first thing I'm going to do is just type out the name, Horror Carnival, and let's I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my guides really quick, and this is gonna take some thought, but I think that we can achieve it by using some color, because one of the things that a lot of people who use Comic Sans on a whim do is they don't really use color with it. You know, you'll see it in one color, you'll see it in black, you'll see it white against a black background. You usually don't see color. So I think that what we're going to do is I'm going to try a couple of different things here. And, you know, with everything that you type out, at least I believe, for the most part, everything should be kerned. So let's go ahead and kern the word horror right up here. And kerning is always a subjective thing. You know, some people will say that, you know, you put a little bit too much space in between these letters, and then somebody else will say that, you know, that there's not enough. So, you know, it's definitely a subjective thing. So I'm going to try to make it look as good as I possibly can with what I have, and what I have is Comic Sans. So I think that I'm going to try bold on this because I think that it looks a little bit better. However, you know, we have to remember that we are using probably the most universally hated font in existence. However, when I look at this, whenever I see Comic Sans out somewhere, I always say to my wife, Comic Sans spotted. It doesn't necessarily mean that I hate it. However, I will say that I've seen very few uses of it that I thought was appropriate. So I'll just say that. So let's kern just a little bit. I think the space between that R and the N is good. Maybe bring in the I just a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Bring this out a little bit, and then we'll bring this in maybe a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. So what I'd like to do is I would like to make a black background for this, and I'll use a little bit of a lighter black for the background because I'm going to be adding some effects to the background in Photoshop whenever we're done. So whatever those end up being, I don't really know what they are yet, but whatever they end up being, I want to make sure that that they're all visible, that those effects are visible. So just temporarily, I'm going to make this gray so that I can place this exactly where I want it. And since I've got the kerning all set, I'm going to go ahead and create outlines and ungroup these from each other, so that way I can grab each one. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Google and let's look for a carnival color palette. And I actually, you know what? I really like this one. And color really can make a big difference when it comes to type and what you're trying to convey and get across. So let's do this. You know, like carnivals are supposed to be fun and everything. So like, and that kind of adds to the irony of what we're doing here. You know, like we're using the fun colors and we're, you know, calling it a horror carnival. So I really think that what we're trying to do here is definitely possible in trying to, you know, kind of get across that you can, you know, that Comic Sans can have its time and place. I need to brighten up this purple just a little bit to make sure that it's legible or visible, I guess, against this black background. So I'm going to use purple for probably the largest letters in Carnival, so the C and the I. And we'll go to orange, red, yellow, and I think I'll do the same thing for the L, and then I'll do orange again, and then I'll do red right here. Okay, so okay, already I have to say that just, yeah, this is just my opinion, but I have to say that applying color to Comic Sans definitely does make a difference, because I don't hate this. I don't particularly love it either. I would definitely probably use something, you know, a little bit more in line with horror, you know, like blood dripping or something like that, if I wanted to do something for like a horror carnival. But I think that for what we're doing, we're trying our best to make Comic Sans look good. So I think I'll stick with this, and I think that I'm gonna align both of them to the center, and I'd like to add some shapes to it. So let's bring this all the way up to our guide. Oh wait, you know what? My guides are not locked. I gotta make sure that I lock my guides. 1 second. There we go. That's why I was getting all those crazy readings. Okay, so we'll go up to, I've got 1.5 margin around this, 1.5 inch margin. All right, so for the leading right here, I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of play around with that. I think 1/2 inch works well. And this isn't, as far as I know, there is no place called Horror Carnival. There could be, I don't know. But I'm just gonna say Horror Carnival haunted house, you know, because that's a pretty common thing. And I think what I'll do for that is I may leave it all caps, and I think yellow works well, but let me see what it looks like regular case. Okay, Horror Carnival haunted house. You know what I think I might try to do is I might shift the baselines a little bit and see what we can do there. You know, kind of give those letters a little bit of a ghosty type of vibe. We'll leave T on the same baseline as the H, and we'll come down with this a little bit, and then we'll go up a little here. So really the key to making fonts work, you know, like to make them communicate the way that you want them to communicate, is to, you know, kind of have some fun with them. You know, Comic Sans is considered a fun font, you know, and so what you want to do is you want to give that, you want to let the font play. And, you know, for something like this, you know, a Horror Carnival haunted house, you know, obviously it's not something for kids, but, you know, it kind of has that little bit of irony going on. So I'm going to at least try this. I think for the most part, it looks, it looks pretty good. So for something like this, so for, you know, we'll say Horror Carnival haunted house, and I may actually bring in, let's take a look at our grid real quick. I'm actually pretty happy with the width of all of this, and I'm going to, yeah, that's good right there. All right, so, you know, let's put some basic information up here. You know, Horror Carnival haunted house. You know, doors open every Friday at, you know, what, 8 p.m., something like that. And for something like this, you know, when you're going beyond the name of the attraction or whatever it is that you're trying to communicate, you can definitely make the font a little bit smaller. So we'll do something like that. And I think I'm going to keep it red so you can read it easily with no problem. And let's do optical for this. Doors open every Friday. Let's see. Friday. We'll say Friday through Sunday. Doors open every Friday through Sunday at 8 p.m. Okay. And we'll align this to the bottom of our grid. Okay. So we'll put it right there. And I think that I'm happy with the leading right there. What I might do is this. Put that on the same. The doors open every Friday through Sunday at 8 p.m. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, there's really only so much you can do when you're working with this font. Let's see, doors open every Friday, Sunday at 8 p.m. You know, you're definitely assuming that this is a local ad for a local haunted attraction during Halloween. So, let's say something like, you know, horror carnival, haunted house, and, you know, off of, I'm in Tennessee, we have 10 million Old Hickory Boulevards, so we'll just say 1996 Old Hickory Boulevard. I don't know if that's a real address or not. It may be. I have no idea. I think I want to keep those separated. Okay. No, I may... Okay. I may actually do that then. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll put it down here with the rest of the information, and we'll just kind of space it out a little bit. Space it out by 1/2 inch. I think that looks good. Let's bring this back down to our baseline, or the baseline back to the grid. And I'd like to try out some shapes. So let's do something, you know, like, let's do like, you know, some, you know, carnival shapes, like something that you would see on a clown suit or something like that. So I'm going to use my, my grid here as kind of a guide to tell me how large they should be. So they're going to be either 3 inches or maybe 1.5 inches, you know, half the size, quarter size, you know, and we're going to put them right inside of the grid boxes. And we can do, you know, what we can do is we can add some blurs to them a little bit to kind of make them look like lights. I think that might be pretty cool. 3 divided by 4 there, and we'll just put it right there in that little spot. And then we'll actually go about coloring them here in just a second. I think that looks good, and we'll put one right here, and we'll put another. Well, I think we need to have at least 2 large ones, so let's put a large one over here, a small one right here, I believe, or maybe right here. That's good right there. Okay. All right, so now we'll go about coloring them. And I may actually put another small one right here in the center. Okay, that's good. All right, so let's send this to the back. We'll bring it to where it's in front of that black right there. And we'll make this yellow since it's right behind that red. And I actually like this one being in front of the C. Kind of helps to work with that type a little bit. With this color, since we have orange, red, and orange, purple, and yellow working together, I may send this behind that L. It's pretty cool. And let's make this one purple. We don't have enough purple, so let's add purple there, and then this one will be yellow, and I think this one can work as orange. Okay, that's cool. All right. Okay, Horror Carnival Haunted House. The address: doors open every Friday, Sunday at 8 p.m. Friday through Sunday at 8 p.m. The only thing that I might do here is I may reduce the size of this just a little bit. Actually, no, I think that it works. I think that it works at 60 points. All right, so here is the entire poster. So let's go ahead and unlock the background layer, and I'm going to grab everything except for that background, and we're going to bring it over here to Photoshop, paste it as a smart object. That way we still maintain the vector there. I think it actually looks pretty cool on a white background, but since I've made this darker background, I'm going to grab this hex value, go into Photoshop here, create a solid color, layer style, and so that's our background. And I'm going to add in some textures on top of this, and I'm going to try, you know, like kind of going for like a vintage circusy type of vibe. So I think I might grab this one. It's a little bit more antique looking. So let's bring this over here. I'm gonna rotate it and we're gonna enlarge it. And what I'll do is I'll apply some layers above this so that we can kind of hide some of that pixelation that we're getting from enlarging it. So, you know, because as you can see, we've enlarged it. It's, you know, it's not the best crisp quality, but there's definitely ways that you can hide that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try layer styles, and I think that divide may be the best one. I need to desaturate that though. Well, maybe not. What I'm wanting is I'm really wanting a nice, okay, I like that. That's pretty cool, but I would definitely go in and adjust some of those levels or curves a little bit. That's interesting, you know, that really, you know, that really sharp and not, you know, like not crisp type of look there kind of adds to the whole carnival thing. I think that's pretty cool. But there's definitely some other ones that we can do that we can at least try and play around with and see what works best. Color burn is pretty cool. I'd kind of like it to look like, you know, like just dripping with sweet, way too vibrant colors. I may actually go in, I mean, we're already working with pretty bright colors here, but I may go in and increase the saturation and just see what happens if I do that. Just turn it all the way up. This is pretty cool. It's kind of giving like a kind of a more retro vibe here, but I am happy with the colors that I have right now. Although that's pretty cool. But those pinks and those reds are kind of blending together. They're not really standing out on their own. So I think I'm just gonna leave it. I think I'm just gonna leave it with these colors. All right. I do like the divide one right here, but I think that this one may be my favorite. I'm gonna play around with these curves and see if I can bring it up to a certain level where it's nice and legible and you can see all of these elements here. So let's go this way right here. I think that is looking good. I still want that paper texture to be there, and when you go too far down this way, then you're starting to lose that paper texture. If you go too far up here, then then we're starting to see some some pixelation here of that background of the paper texture. So I think that I may go somewhere right here, and then maybe try to increase the levels a little bit and see what we can do there. Kind of, still want to maintain those bright colors. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try, okay, yeah, this is much better. I like this. I like this a lot. All right, so let's go in. All right, so I think that we did this in the curves. We were kind of losing that paper texture a little bit, so let's bring this all the way over here. I'm trying to find that perfect balance of still maintaining the background and making sure that it's visible, while also having the texture applied to the text itself. And I actually am pretty happy with this. And what I was talking about earlier, making these dots look like lights, that's a pretty easy thing to do. What you can do is you can go into blur and go to Gaussian blur, and we'll just kind of bring this probably up to about a 5 or so. That that kind of makes it look like it's blended in with the paper of here. of here, sorry. And it also kind of gives that, gives that little glow effect on the dots. But what you can do, you can actually do something else. You can create your own layer and name it lights. And we'll sample this color right here. And make sure that your brush is on 0% hardness and flow of about, we'll try 100%. That should work just fine. And just do a single click and see that actually adds a nice glow around it. So I'll go 100% and you can see what that looks like. So we've got a nice glow around each one of those dots. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do this, but this is the way that I'm going to do it for this video. And just click on this, and you can click twice. And I think I'll do that actually. I think I'll click twice, to make it a little bit more intense there. And we'll do the same thing here. Let's adjust our brush. 2 clicks. 2 clicks. Although that is kind of sitting on top of there. You know what I might do is I might only do some of them. So we'll do this one here, and then I think we may actually leave the rest of them alone. Yeah, and I may erase this one simply because we already have a large one, a large red one that's glowing. So let's kind of take a look and make sure that it's nice and random. So a red one glowing, small one, a large red one glowing, a yellow one, and a purple one. I think that is looking good. I'm also going to look at possibly adding another another layer on top of this, because I think that we can, let's try something like this where it has like these stains on it. I think that might kind of give it a little bit of an uneasy type of vibe. And I may actually leave that color so that the color can affect the layers below it. So let's try this out. And just see what we end up with. That's interesting, but it's way too harsh. This is pretty cool. It's really intensifying those glows. I may come back to that and just make some adjustments to it. Let's see what it looks like when we invert it. That's interesting. Kind of makes it look like it's, abandoned or like really from the past. Okay, this is cool. Divide usually does a pretty good job of this, and really, I was looking to add a little bit more texture to the text and then to intensify that glow. So I think that this does a pretty good job of both, but I don't like these artifacts right here, so I'll just get rid of those. And I'm using the spot healing brush tool, which is right over here. It's the 4th one down on the right side. And I'm just going through and just kind of cleaning up some of these artifacts that I don't like. I may leave some of them, but other ones I don't want to leave behind. However, leaving some in there definitely, kind of adds to the authenticity of it. But I think I'll definitely take out the ones that are these large blue ones. And I'm working with a large, file right here. This is 18 by 24 at full resolution, so 300. So it's gonna take a little second to to get these things done. And I actually kind of like this. It kind of looks like a paint splatter, so I think I'll leave that. This looks like it may be a mistake, so I think that I'll get rid of that one too. All right. Okay, I think that I am happy with this end product here. So Horror Carnival Haunted House, 1996 Old Hickory Boulevard, Nashville, Tennessee. Doors open every Friday through Sunday at 8 p.m. Okay, so what we've done, and I see this little guy hanging out down here, so let me take care of him real quick. He's being stubborn. So I'll use the clone stamp. Probably sampling from other areas. This is why this is giving me so much trouble. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'll do the same thing here. Get rid of these guys. Okay. What about... I actually like that down there, so I think I'll leave that. I don't like the ones that are super harsh, so let's get rid of that one. The rest is totally cool. All right. So what we've done today is I have attempted to make Comic Sans look good, or at least workable, and I think this is just fine, actually. You know, is it the best looking thing that anyone's ever done with Comic Sans? No, but you know, that's kind of a tough feat to achieve in, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, however long I've been spending on this. But I would say that for what it is and for what it's trying to communicate, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Well, thanks for joining me today. Maybe I'll try another one sometime. Maybe I'll try Hobo or Bradley Hand or Papyrus or something like that. But I really hope you enjoyed watching along with me today as I try to make Comic Sans look acceptable or look good. If you like this video, please hit the like button and the subscribe button below. That'll keep more videos like this coming to you. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.